In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do high-end skin retouching using frequency separation in Photoshop. And if at all you want to learn how to retouch and do high-end frequency separation, or how to do your high-end skin retouching in Photoshop, stick around. And this video is specifically for you, and I'm not going to skip any step while retouching this image. So we are going to do frequency separation, global dodging and burning, eye whitening, and we're going to color grade this image. And yeah, stick around and watch this video till the end so that you can learn something and you can upgrade your photography level from level 0 to around level 99 or level 100 or 200 if at all you love to do so. So this video is about frequency separation. I'm not going to skip any step while I'm teaching you guys how to do frequency separation. I've been getting so many questions about frequency separation, and I decided to do a video for you guys about this very topic. So guys, I'm Ronnie from Ronnie Photography. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and this video is about frequency separation. Yeah, and let me go in and start showing you guys how I retouch using Photoshop. And as usual, as you drag your photo to your Photoshop, I usually for all images to open your camera raw filter, and this is how your camera raw will be. And this is the basic panel right here, and you can see the different specifications right here. So usually the settings that were used for this image, and before I can go on, this image was taken by Oswald Photography. I'm going to put his link down in the description so that you guys can follow him on his Instagram. He's an amazing portrait photographer, and he gave me permission to use his image for this specific tutorial. And yeah, thank you Oswald Photography. So usually I start by pulling down my highlights for my images, and I pull up my whites and my shadows. Then I'll pull down my blacks to get a little bit more contrast. Then I'll add in 6 of the contrast. Then I'm going to add in a little bit of clarity and some vibrance to make this image pop. And I'm going to increase on my my exposure to around 40 plus 40. So this is all. We are going to come back to our camera raw to do some little color grading and eye whitening, so stick around. So after this, you open your image in Photoshop. As you can see, the image is now opening, and we're going to start by cropping this image. And usually when you're cropping your images for Instagram usually allows you to crop in a ratio of 8:10, or it is called 4:5. So click on your crop tool and drop down and look for 4:5 ratio. Click on it, and this is the ratio right now. So drag the corners to get the right cropping, and click enter to crop the image. So usually for frequency separation, I start by duplicating the background layer twice. Click Ctrl J on the keyboard twice, Ctrl J twice, and double click here. And usually for the low layer, I usually name it low frequency, and I'm going to name it low LF, sorry. And for the high, I'm going to name this high frequency. So let me explain to you guys what this really means. For a low frequency, it usually contains for the colors and the tones for the image, and the high frequency usually contains our texture for the skin. And what frequency separation does, it separates the image into two. It separates it into color and texture. So this is explained right here. In the low frequency, you have the color, and in the high frequency you have the texture. So click on your low frequency and turn off the high frequency by clicking on this eye icon. Then just come to filter, blur, then come right to Gaussian blur. So we are going to try to get the color of the image. So as you can see right now, when the radius is high, you kind of lose the image. So we are going to move the radius in a way that we can still see the texture of our beautiful model, the skin texture of the model. So when you put the radius down, you clearly see everything in the image. So you're going to drag the radius until you have to drag it until you're losing most of the details, but you can still see the outlines of the facial structures of the model. So you start dragging until you're losing most of the texture on the model's face. So for this image, I think 12 will do. You can see we have lost most of the skin texture right here. You can see we have lost it, but you can see the eyes and everything on the face. So this will do, and click OK. Then right now this is our color. You can see now the image kind of looks blurry, but you shouldn't be scared of that at all. Then click on your high frequency layer, and now click on the icon to turn it back on. Then this time we are going to look for a way of now extracting the texture from this image, the texture alone minus the color. So just come right to image, then click on apply image. So you'll get this right here. So for the source, it is more of the details for the image, the name, the name of the file we are trying to edit. Now what we are going to do, we are going to subtract the texture from the color. So remember you're on your high frequency. So when you click right here, you'll see 3, the background, these layers right here will appear right here. So we are going to subtract the texture from our lower frequency layer. So we are going to extract the texture from our color layer, which is the lower frequency layer. So when you click on the lower frequency layer, you'll get this right here. The image will be dark. So what you're going to do, you're going to come to, remember we are subtracting the texture from the lower frequency or the color layer. So come to the blending and click subtract. So when you click subtract, what this does, it will turn the image to this color. It will turn it to around black. So what you're going to do right now, you have to put a scale of 2. Then for the offset, you have to put 128. This is more of the gray kind of feel, which kind of extracts most of the texture from the color layer. So make sure the opacities are at 100% and these are not checked, and make sure invert is not checked. So as you can see right now, the image is gray, but when you zoom all the way in, you see most of the outlines and the texture of the image. So this is fine right now. Click OK. So after clicking OK, you come right here to the blending options and look for linear light. So when you click linear light, you must automatically get back the image as it was before. So right now we are done doing our frequency separation, and now we're going to put it in a group. So just hold down shift and click on the lower frequency layer, then click command G or control G to put them in a group, and we are going to name our group frequency separation. So I'm going to abbreviate that. Sorry, I'm failing to get the spelling. So frequency separation. So this is our layer right now, and usually when I'm going to do my retouching, after I click on my high frequency layer, and for this frequency separation tutorial we're going to be using a mixture brush tool. And before I can go ahead, I want to show you guys what a mixture brush tool. It is like when you're painting and you have a brush. Remember, it is usually wet, and you have to keep on mixing and blending those tones. So that is initially what the mixture brush tool does. So for my frequency separation, I usually click on my texture layer or my high frequency layer. Then when I come right here and I'll create my black and white on top of my high frequency layer. So when I create that black and white, you can see I was trying to adjust the reds. So you have to drag and kind of darken these reds, because the reason for creating this black and white layer is because we want something to guide us when we are trying to blend the uneven skin tone. So when you're using a mixer brush, you're trying to blend these uneven skin tones together and creating something uniform and removing that bumpiness from the model's skin. You can see we have some unevenness right here, so we are going to try to blend each and everything right here on the model's face. So turn back your black and white by clicking on the eye icon. So when you're mixing, make sure you are on your lower frequency layer. And yeah, if you don't have the mixer brush, right click under your brushes, you get it, but I extracted mine and I put it right outside. It is here. So for your settings for a mixer brush tool, my settings, usually I clean my brush, drop down and clean your brush. Make sure you have clicked right here, because we want the brush to automatically clean itself after each and every stroke we apply when you're trying to blend these skin tones. And usually for the wetness, if at all you want to retain the details in your image, you have to keep your wetness really low. If you want to retain the texture in the image, the load I usually use 75%, the mix 90%, and the flow 100%. But make sure sample all layers is not checked. Make sure this right here is not checked. So you have your mixer brush tool. So we are going to try to blend these uneven skin tones together. And when you're trying to blend, make sure you don't drag from the highlights to the shadows. Make sure you remain within the borders of the area you're trying to mix. So you blend the highlights alone, the midtones alone, and the shadows alone. So I don't know if I make sense, but that is what you have to do if at all you don't want to distort the features or the way light was falling in the model's face. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to start mixing, and I'm not going to skip any steps so I can show you guys each and every progress for this particular image. So we're going to start mixing. So I'm going to mix this area. You can see I'm mixing the highlights alone. So we have these shadows right here. I'm going to mix them. You can see I'm going to keep on showing you guys our progress. And remember, the other thing is, when you're doing your mixing, make sure you don't totally zoom in your image, because we want to do the mixing the way someone is going to be looking at the image. And the other trick you can use for mixing, you can as well turn off this texture layer so that you can see the unevenness in the skin tones, and you can blend them way easily. So just blend these uneven skin tones together. So I'm going to turn back my high frequency layer, turn off the black and white so I can show you guys our progress so far. So this is the before and the after. Before, after, you can see right, we have just mixed this area. So before, after, you can see it looks amazing. So turn back your black and white layer and continue mixing. Remember, here we have some really dark tone here, and we have this highlight. I'm mixing it alone. You can reduce or increase your brush size using the left and the right brackets on your keyboard. Yeah, so yeah, continue blending the highlights alone, the midtones alone, and the shadows alone. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing exactly that. I'm just blending these uneven skin tones together. I'm just harmonizing them so that I can kind of flatten them without distorting the shape of the model's face. So let me see the progress. You have to keep on checking on your progress every time you're retouching, so you can see the difference right now. So come back to your black and white and continue blending these uneven skin tones together. And the other good thing of using the mixture brush tool, before removing those spots and everything, or those blemishes in the model's face, is it kind of flattens most of them, so you'll have less work to do when you're trying to remove these blemishes from the model's face. So yeah, that is the good thing of using the mixture brush tool. You can see I'm mixing the highlights alone, the midtones alone, and the shadows alone. So continue blending, and yeah, you really have to take your time if at all you want to get the best of your retouching. So just continue doing this, and remember, and in order to get the best out of your retouching using this method, there is one trick I'm going to share with you guys that is going to change each and everything. It is not all about totally using the mixture brush tool, but there is some little trick we have to add in, and it will really transform your image instantly. So it is easy and quicker than this step we are on right now. So just keep on blending these uneven skin tones. So remember, when you're blending, keep on checking on the progress and you don't totally over zoom in the image. So before after, you can see the image is now being transformed totally. So for the areas you're not sure of, just keep on remaining within those boundaries, and you can as well mix without your black and white. But as I said, for the tiniest areas of the model's face, what you can do, you can now zoom in to mix those areas more and better. So just blend these areas. You can see I'm mixing each and every single area alone, and I'm not dragging. I'm not in a hurry because I want you guys to learn each and every step of using the mixture brush tool. Yeah, for right now I think we are done with mixing the face area. Remember, we are going in for a more natural look and we don't want to overdo this. So I think we are done with the face. So before after, you can see the image looks amazing. Maybe we can do a little bit of mixing right here. So this is our image. So remember, what most people do, they tend to forget this area, and now the face will kind of look like it has just been attached to the model's neck. So what you have to do, you have to also mix and blend these tones right here. So I'm going to do that right away. Make sure you're still on your lower frequency layer and keep on blending these uneven skin tones. Remember, mix the highlights alone, the midtones alone, and the shadows alone. So that is what we are doing right now. So we are blending these together. So I don't want to skip anything because I want you guys to see how powerful the mixture brush combined with frequency separation is. Yeah, it really does wonders. It does the magic to your portraits. Yeah, and it can easily transform your portraits instantly. So stick around and watch this till the end, because you may miss out on the amazing trick I'm about to share about when you're done using the mixture brush tool. What is that amazing thing, maybe that ingredient I add to my portraits for them to look natural, amazing, and crispy sharp? So stick around and don't skip anything, even if you know so much about frequency separation. Don't skip anything, so keep on toggling. So before after, you can see this area has been blended really well. So I'm going to give you guys the trick right now. Click on your black and white layer and delete it, because right now it is useless to us. Then come to your lower frequency layer. Remember, when we are adding values of our radius, when we are doing the frequency separation, I think you can still remember the radius you use, and if at all you don't remember, no problem, but usually make sure your feathering is at 30%. Yeah, so because we are going to use a lasso tool method, so make sure you select, this is your lasso tool. Yeah, this right now is your lasso tool. Select it, click on it right now, and select according to the shape of the model of that part you want to apply the effect on. Remember, don't apply it on the makeup or the hair, because it may end up distorting each and everything. So when you click on filter, this is the trick right now. Click on filter and click on Gaussian blur. Remember, this is the figure we put when we were creating our frequency separation. It is 12.5. So usually the trick I found out was, when you multiply 12.5 times 3, then you add 3, it really gives you an amazing natural feel to your images. So 12.5 times 3 will roughly be 37. So when you add 37 around there plus 3, you get, remember, you multiply your radius, this radius right now, the one you're seeing right now, the one you may have used when you're doing your frequency separation, multiply it by 3 and add 3 to the result you'd have gotten. So here I'm going to multiply 12.5 times 3, and I'm just going to estimate 37 plus 3. I'm going to just put 40. So right now we are now fine-tuning our frequency separation. So 40. So just come and select according to the shape. Make sure you don't mess up with the details or the facial structures like the eyes. Just select on the skin and skip the makeup. Right click and click on Gaussian blur. So we're going to keep on doing that each and every time. So right click, select Gaussian blur, select this area, right click, apply your Gaussian blur, then select this area. As I'm trying to hurry because I don't want it to be so long and it may really get boring for you guys. So that's why I'm really doing this now in a hurry. Yeah, I don't want you guys to get bored, and I don't want to sound really monotonous to you guys. So select according to the shape. So you can see we have this right here, and what I'm doing, I'm selecting according to the shape, and I'm kind of perfecting. Yeah, I'm perfecting our frequency separation, and those areas we may have missed out when we are using blending using the mixture brush tool. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to apply our little magic. Yeah, this is a secret, guys, so yeah, just watch. And yeah, so keep on applying your effect to your image until you feel like you have gotten something nice and perfect. So this is for the face, so I can show you guys the before and the after. Remember, we had missed this little highlight. So this is the before and the after. Before, after, you can see the difference, but we are still retaining the texture of this particular image. So just select the shape according to the shape, right click, apply your Gaussian blur, select according to the shape. Right now you see I'm dodging the hair, apply the Gaussian blur, select according to the shape, apply your Gaussian blur, select according to the shape, right click, click on Gaussian blur like that. Keep on doing that. So you want to get the most perfect of your beauty retouching images. And yeah, you're learning something from this video, and it is going to change your photography game forever. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't to this channel, and yeah, you can leave a comment right down below if at all you want to advise me on the most efficient way I could have done this retouching for this image. So we are done with that. We are done with we are kind of done with our frequency separation. So before after. So right now what we're going to do, we are going to deal away with the blemishes in this image. So click on your high frequency layer and click on your clone stamp tool. So I was getting some questions before about my setting for a clone stamp tool. Make sure it is a normal one. The opacity is at 100, the flow at 100, and make sure it is aligned. Just make sure this is checked, and make sure current layer, you're on your current layer, sample current layer. So for removing the blemishes, make sure you zoom all the way in, and you remove the blemishes in this image. So sample from here, then click on Alt here to sample from here and paint over the blemish you want to remove. Sample. So every time you're sampling, hold down your Alt to sample and paint over the blemish you want to remove. So that's right now we are removing these simple blemishes from the model's skin while retaining the texture. Remember, we are on our texture layer, so we are going to be removing the blemishes, but we are going to still retaining the texture. So when you're sampling, hold down Alt and paint over the blemish you want to eliminate from the model's face. So, and as I told you guys before, I'm not going to skip any single step about how I retouch this image. I want you guys to learn a thing or two. So I'm going to sample. You sample from a clean area and paint over the blemish you want to remove from the image. So I'm going to sample from here. So you hold down Alt to sample and paint over. Sample, paint over, sample, paint over, like that. Keep on doing that for the rest of the blemishes. So sample and paint over. So this is, I found this method really nice and efficient for blemish removal, because you tend to remain with so much texture in your image, and it is really a natural method for blemish removal in your portrait. So sample and remove, sample from here and remove the blemish. So you have to sample from an area that is close to the blemish, a clean area close to the blemish you want to remove from the image. So I think we are done with there. So sample and remove. So I'm sorry I'm being really fast when I'm doing the blemish removal, because I don't want you guys to be really bored with my chit chatting. So yeah, so I'm removing these simple blemishes, yeah, from the model's skin. Remember, this is a high-end beauty skin retouching video using frequency separation and the mixer brush tool, but remember we used the lasso tool method plus the Gaussian blur to fine-tune the image. So for those that may have skipped this video, and yeah, you may have missed out on that amazing trick from Ronix photography. And if you're watching, remember you have subscribed. Make sure you have subscribed to this channel. And yeah, I think we are almost done with most of the blemishes in the face. So right now we are done with these simple blemishes, and we have eliminated most of these blemishes from the model. So this is our image right now. So we have some simple blemishes here, Yeah, so I don't want it to be long. So this is our image right now. So this is the before and the after. This is our progress so far. Before, after. Before, after. Let me zoom all the way in so that you can see the image. So before, after, you can see it really looks nice and amazing. So what we're going to do right now, we are going to do our global dodging and banding to enhance the light, the highlights and the shadows. So remember, our image was kind of flattened when we are doing African separation, so we want to enhance the highlights and the shadows. So click right here and come to curves. When you click on curves, first of all you brighten. So make sure this is selected. Click Ctrl I to invert. So we are going to name this layer dodge. Remember, when you're dodging, you dodge the highlights. So when you're dodging, you enhance the highlights, and when you're burning, you enhance the shadows in the image. So that is the simple way I can explain this. So this is the global dodging and burning. So right now I'm going to darken this. So make sure this is selected. Click Ctrl I and name this burn. So when you're burning, you burn the shadows, you enhance the shadows in the image. So click on Shift, click on the lower layer, click Ctrl G to group this. So I'm going to name this dodge and burn. So D and B will do. So right now we're going to create a black and white layer. Click on your burn layer, come right here and click on black and white. So we want something to guide us when we are doing our dodging and burning. So darken it. So turn off your frequency separation because you want where the shadows and the highlights were originally. So click on your dodge layer first and select your brush. Make sure white is on the foreground because you're going to be painting on a black mask, and if at all you don't have this, click right here to reset it. So make sure the opacity of your brush is at around 12%, and increase your brush. Make sure when you're dodging and burning, you don't over zoom in. Do it in a way someone is going to be looking at the image. So we have a highlight here, so we are going to enhance it. Increase your brush, dodge there. So remember, we are dodging the highlights and we are burning the shadows. So you have to paint over each area that has the highlights. So that's what we are doing right now. So enhance that too. So I think we are done with the dodging. We have a little highlight here, so I'm going to paint right here. So we are done with the dodging. So click on your burn layer, still use the same settings, and now you're going to darken or burn. So click there, and we have a highlight right here. No, a shadow, sorry. Yeah, darken it. The shadow here. So we are darkening the shadows. And if at all you make a mistake, like here, just come and click on black and erase. So yeah, that's what we do. So we are done with our dodging and burning. So click on the black and white and delete it. Turn on your frequency separation, and you can see your progress so far. Before, after, before, after. And if at all you feel this is not enough for you, you can just come and see what is really not prominent in this image. Click on the layer, maybe a dodge, click Ctrl J, so you can see it is really enhanced more. So but that's too much. You can just come and reduce on the opacity. So this is our global dodging and burning. You can see before, after. The image really has life and it has shape. So we are done with the global dodging and burning, and what we are going to do right now, we are going to color grade this image using our camera raw filter in Photoshop. So usually for this, and we are going to also whiten the eyes of the model in camera raw in Photoshop. So make sure you have the latest version of Photoshop. So when you're going to color grade your image, make sure you create a stamp visible layer on top of our dodge and burn layer. So click on Shift, Alt, Ctrl E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer. Shift Alt Ctrl E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer, and make sure you duplicate it. Ctrl J, yeah, Ctrl J. Sorry about this. Make sure you duplicate it by clicking Ctrl J on the keyboard. So come to filter, click on filter, then click on camera raw filter. So it is going to open our camera raw filter, and first of all we are going to whiten the eyes of this model. So zoom in, get your zoom tool, and you can as well use Ctrl plus on the keyboard to zoom in. So click on your adjustment brush and drag your temperature to around -33, the tint around, these are my settings, 69, and the highlights to 8, the whites to 6, and make sure your saturation is all the way to -85. Remember, we are removing color from the model's eye. Remember, it may be red or yellow. That's why we pull our temperatures a little bit down to around -33. So this is the adjustment brush, and paint over the white area. You need to take your time. Just paint over the white area, leave out the red area because you don't want to have those robotic eyes of the model. Just paint over the white area of the model's eye to whiten it. So this is yet another trick I use for whitening the eyes of my models. So just click paint over the white area, so you can see the eye is really white. Just come and zoom in, just click on your Ctrl plus or click on this magnifying tool by tapping on the area you want to paint over, and now paint over that white area of the eye. Yeah, just paint over. I don't know, I'm trying to be accurate and fast enough, so I want you guys to follow along. So I think we are done with the eye whitening. So what we are going to do right now, we are going to color grade this image. I know it already looks amazing, but if at all you want to alter this image, just click right here and you'll have, then after that click on this camera icon to come to your camera calibration, and you can play around with these colors. You can see, so usually for my images I prefer to pull the reds to around -6, then I'm going to pull this to around, you can pull it to any of your liking. So I'm going to pull it to around -8. Then I'm going to come to my blue primary and I'm going to play around with it too. So you can see 4 will do for this image, and I'm going to play around with my reds too because I'm not comfortable with that. So you can play around with these little sliders to make changes to your image. So depending on your taste, you can play around with them. So I'm going to leave it at this. Then after you're done, click OK. So this is the before color grading, after, before, after. It is subtle, but it really brings or makes a difference to your images or your portraits. So yeah, this is a tutorial about how you can do frequency separation using a mixer brush tool. And remember, we started with this is like a quick recap. We started with frequency separation. We retouched the image, so it was initially like this before, then after frequency separation. Then we did dodging and burning, before, after. You can see the difference. And this was our global dodging and burning, not the micro one. Then we came to camera raw calibration to whiten and color grade the image. So this has been an in-depth video about frequency separation using a mixer brush tool. And remember, we applied the lasso method tool, and we did dodging and burning, and we color graded and did the eye whitening for this image. And if at all you learned something, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment in the comment section Yeah, on top of that, don't forget to subscribe if at all you haven't subscribed. Thank you guys. I'm Ronnie from Ronnie Photography. Thank you for watching. Till next time.